So in today's video, we'll be looking at the sentiments for property buyers. So how do Australians feel about future house prices? What are their reasons for buying property? What do they think about future interest rates? And a few of these questions were spurred on from a report that we've looked at from realestate.com. And it looked at a few different questions. So the first one it looked at was, what do you expect property prices to do in the next 6 months? And before we look at the results, I wanted to ask Andrew that question. What do you think property prices will do? Will they increase, decrease, stay the same?
Look, I think prices at the moment are driven highly because of the demands, because of immigration that's coming in. Interest rates are definitely going to have an impact. I think, and I'm one of the people that doesn't think rates are going to go down as quick as everyone's sort of hoping. I think rates actually may even go up once more before they start to stay on hold for a bit longer before they start to go down. So I think those two factors are going to really determine where house prices go. I don't think, to be honest, it can go that much higher because underlying wage growth it isn't there to support these high prices. So if you see prices going up another 10%, but wages are not going up 10%, who's going to afford the actual increase in that property price? Like, how is it going to happen? So I think things are going to sort of stay where they are for the next few months, and unless there's something big that happens in the world economy over the next few months or few years. There is an American election, which probably will impact what happens here. So I'm keeping my eyes on that as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they'll stay relatively stable?
I think they're going to stay relatively stable,
Mm-hmm.
especially the prices that are in the boom sort of states at the moment, SAWA. I think they're sort of they've still got a bit to run, but I think in the next 6 to 12 months they're going to reach their peak. Whereas I think Sydney prices, depending which areas you are in, some of those properties have sort of stayed the same, and I think they will continue to as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely it's going to be market dependent, state dependent, things like that. So yeah, let's look at the survey. So this is broken up between people thinking that property prices will increase, remain stable, or decrease. And this starts from a survey done in July 2023, September 2023, and then January 2024. So you can see the overall trend is that people are actually expecting property prices to increase in the next 6 months, which is quite interesting because, we've already seen prices increase quite a lot, and we've already had this overwhelming sentiment that, house prices are so unaffordable. How much more could they potentially go up? It's quite interesting to see that, yeah, people still think that prices will still go up. So there'll still be more room for growth. So there could be several factors that can really determine why they think that prices will go up. So there's definitely one thought that, people are anticipating that interest rates will actually, start to come down, and therefore affordability and people being able to get loans will increase, and hence that will fuel further demand as well. So yeah, it's a very interesting statistic here. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with the rate. So I think
Mhm.
in anticipation for the property prices to increase, also because I think generally people think prices in terms of interest rates are going to start to decrease, and that's going to put a fire underneath property prices because it's going to be cheaper for debt, be cheaper to borrow, and that's going to cause prices to go up. Of course, that's if interest rate cuts do happen. Like I said to you just then, I think there could be one more up. I don't think they're going to start cutting straight away because apparently they're going to start cutting in March. I think they meet next week on the 19th. I think it is the RBA to make the decision. I think they're going to stay on hold, to be honest. I don't see them cutting in March and next week. But yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. We never know what will happen, and you know, when have economists ever got anything right? It's probably probably never. So, you can expect something, but you know, it can always go the opposite direction. And like you said, we don't know when the interest rates will increase, decrease, whatever. And we know that there's the upcoming election as well. So we don't know how that's going to affect the world economy. But I guess looking at this from, I guess, from a if all things stay equal perspective, if people are think that house prices will increase, perhaps that will be a self-fulfilling prophecy and, you know, eventually lead to further increases there. So yeah, that was a very interesting insight from that graph. So the next graph in this survey asked, what prompted you to consider buying? So there's different reasons why people want to buy property. And in the largest example there, we have lifestyle change. So people want to live in a different area. And there's all these other different reasons here, like upsizing, retirement. So you can actually see that a lot of these reasons are actually driven by owner occupiers, people who actually want to live and occupy in this new household. And then you have this other kind of bucket, which includes, people who want to make financial gains, capitalize on market conditions. So these are more the investors in the market. So there's different reasons why you want to buy property. And yeah, it's really interesting to see that the majority of people actually want to live in this space. And the survey actually pointed out that, 1 in 4 Australians over 18 are actively looking to purchase a property. So, Australians love their property. They really want to live and have their own space. So it's really interesting to see the reasons behind that. I want to ask Andrew, what are your sentiments on buying in, the next year or so or that?
Look, I think I'm going to wait a bit just to see how
Mm-hmm.
things sort of pan out. I think there's a bit too much uncertainty for me to sort of make a decision to sort of jump into the market or not.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to take a punt, like I would wait until whatever's going to happen with rates, whether they go up or go down, that's going to be determined over the next 12 to 18 months. I think once that gets knuckled down, I think it will give a lot more of a clearer picture of where the market's going to be going in the next 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely want a bit more certainty in terms of the economic conditions and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think for me personally, like I am looking to buy in the process of trying to buy something now as well. And, I think there is a bit of uncertainty, but I am generally quite a conservative investor, I feel. So I'm definitely not going to be, overextending myself. I'm hopefully picking the right areas that will actually are in the right timing on the market where we can actually see short-term capital gains and stuff like that as well. So, yeah, I'm also conservative in the sense that I also want to continue to invest for the long term as well. So if I know that, house prices will increase, in the long term, hopefully in the next 20, 30 years, I'll really see that financial gain in those investments. But yeah, definitely not as aggressive as I've been in the past. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, so then the next one, are you worried about the Reserve Bank of Australia's interest rate rises? So we have not worried at all at the top, which is basically 1/3 of the surveys. And we have the next one, slightly worried. And then at the bottom, we have very worried. So it was, again, very interesting to see that the majority of Australians are not worried or just slightly worried about interest rate rises. So there's I guess, an underlying optimism about interest rate rises that it won't really adversely affect a lot of Australians. And this could be potentially from a lot of Australians who've already had property for a number of years now, really benefiting from the increases in, their equity, and then also really benefiting from the low interest rate environment that we've had in the past few years. So they've been able to accumulate quite a cash and really been able to service their loans, and then they haven't been able to refinance quite easily. I think in this very worried bucket up down at the bottom, it's I feel like it's a lot of people who have bought, their first owner occupier home when the interest rates are really low, and they probably maybe extended or pushed their borrowing capacity. So with these interest rates rising, those are the people who are really, feeling the pinch from these interest rates. So yeah, again, a very interesting graph here. Yeah.
Well, look, to be honest, I don't see the rates going up that much harder. So they
Hmm.
obviously went from 0.1 all the way to 55 very quickly in a short amount of time. That's really shocked the market. From
Hmm.
here, there could be, one or two, three rate rises or rate cuts. It's not really going to make that big of a difference to overall interest expense because the increments are going to be pretty small because they've already increased so hard so quick. They're probably not going to move that quick again. So there could be a couple up or a couple going down. So I think this is probably why the majority of people are not worried of interest rates sort of moving.
Hmm.
The red part, of course, it's concerning anyone that sort of bought in the last year or so who basically borrowed too much or right to the top of the limit when rates were at 0 or 1%. Yeah, and their sweetener deals are rolling off. Of course, they're going to be really worried because the big gap of that increase in the interest charge is massive, especially when you're talking about Sydney prices where the average house is like $1 million or the loan is average $1 million. It really does impact what's left over the end of the week after you pay your mortgage.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely people feeling the pinch. But yeah, those are some very interesting insights from that survey by realestate.com. And yeah, that was a really great discussion. Hope to see you in the next one. So yeah.